an Odyssey sports station.
Hey, Wichita, it's Jacob Albrock. Stay right there for the latest breaking in sports talk. It's Sports Daily coming up next, exclusively on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
I'm Omar Reese with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Bengals pass rusher Trey Hendrickson ended his holdout and reported to training camp, but did not practice Wednesday as he continues to seek a new contract. Hendrickson set to enter the final year of his deal, telling reporters, quote, things are exactly the same with negotiations, adding that he'll do the best to avoid being a distraction. Meanwhile, Ravens tight end Isaiah Likely will undergo surgery to repair a broken bone in his foot. He suffered in camp and is expected to miss 6 weeks. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reports Likely could still be ready for week 1 and adds it's not a long-term issue. Elsewhere, Bills rookie cornerback Maxwell Hairston suffered an LCL sprain and is expected to miss at least 3 weeks, according to NFL Network insiders. Hairston was selected by Buffalo with the 30th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. And the Seahawks and general manager John Schneider have agreed to a contract extension through the 2031 season. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
If something happens to you, what happens to your family? Will they struggle financially? Will they be able to afford the home you built together? With Ethos, you can get life insurance coverage in minutes. Get up to $2 million in coverage for as little as $2 a day. All online with no medical exam. Just answer a few health questions. Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Rates may vary. Billed monthly. Sample rate 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
Hello there, everybody. How are you today on a Thursday? Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor with you here on the last day of July, right before baseball's trade deadline. A flurry of moves late last night. We'll take you through yesterday. Still no more moves for the Royals, but that could change. What are they going to do? What could they do? Should they do? We'll discuss it all today as they take a day off before a really tough schedule coming up over the next week or so. I will have Tim Fitzgerald in a little later to talk some K-State football, maybe a little K-State hoops, but get you all caught up from Manhattan on what's been happening. We've got plenty to get to with Chiefs camp and all kinds of good stuff coming for you here today on the program. It's all what's on tap for you, brought to you by the Wichita Brewing Company. Join the 14th anniversary party at WBC Delano on Saturday, August 2nd. Live music, rooftop DJ, free indoor mini golf, anniversary beers, and more. WBC pizza and beer made here for 14 years. Tommy, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Thursday. Good to see you today. A lot to get to on the program. Trade deadline today, which is always one of my favorite times of year, one of my favorite days of the year as we get to that afternoon deadline and the moves being made and who are buyers and who are sellers and what are these teams around Major League Baseball doing. So looking forward to breaking all of that down and jumping right into it.
Yeah, and we'll see if there's any more to the Royals. It should be pretty interesting as they pitch a bullpen game yesterday, which we'll get into. One of the better bullpen games we've ever seen, and quite frankly, in Major League Baseball. So they still have a big hole in their rotation, Tommy. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if I kind of suspect they're going to go find a very under the radar rental type pitcher here at the deadline. We're waiting to see. I believe, well, no, we do have the return on the Eugenio Suarez trade today, but the non-rental players, Duran, the closer for Minnesota, was traded yesterday, and that was a huge haul, huge haul. Some of these relievers have been moving, and so we just kind of wait to see what they'll do. And I honestly, like, we don't even know that they want to trade for another starter, but we still have to ask the question, what are they going to do now as they have 3 starters that are healthy? It gets really interesting for the Royals. So we'll take a look. We'll take a look at these other trades. I don't know if you saw them last night. I was trying to kind of stay up and keep eyes on it. And after, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 10:15, it was just move after move after move after move, which makes me wonder what today's going to be like. Today might get crazy. If that's the way last night was, today might get crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way that, typically things like that roll as we get closer to the deadline. I'm a little surprised that it's the Mariners with Eugenio Suarez. I know that obviously they want to be aggressive, and they've already made, some moves already, including Josh Naylor. But, I was anticipating that it was going to be a team like the Mets or the Yankees or, somebody like that going after Suarez and ultimately being able to get that done. But he's going to stay on the west side of the country and ultimately end up with the Mariners, and that makes them pretty formidable as they continue to make that push for the playoffs. So that's a big one. There are going to be others for sure, undoubtedly, that come through today. Really, some top pitching type trades probably that we're looking at. I mean, Dylan Cease is out there, Joe Ryan is out there, Mackenzie Gore is out there. There are some top tier pitchers that could potentially be on the move between now and this afternoon.
And I don't think the Royals are going to trade for any of those guys you just mentioned, by the
No.
way. But they are big names. I agree. Suarez is interesting to Seattle because he's been there before. They already made the trade for Naylor. So they had already made a trade with Arizona. But Seattle should be, quite frankly, pushing all their chips in like that. They are a team with the pitching to win it all. Why wouldn't they push it in? And they certainly have. And look, that's probably not good news for the Royals, by the way, because that's a team you're competing with. The Royals now just 3 games back in the wild card. Seattle is one of those teams, as are the Red Sox, the Yankees. The Red Sox are going to present an opportunity down the stretch for the Royals, and the Rangers have heated up as well. So the Royals are the other team sort of being aggressive. Everybody else around them, Cleveland, likely going to sell. Tampa already has sold. The Angels, I don't anticipate them doing anything. And we know the Twins have sold. So the Royals are the team that is being aggressive, kind of looking up at everybody else right now. But they're only 3 games back. And that's, I just can't imagine they – and it's been an unfortunate 7 or 10 days. I can't imagine they're going to let themselves after – the Lugo extension and all these things, go bullpen games? Like, that can't be the plan. And they don't need they need Lorenzen and another starter to come back now.
Yeah, Brandon and I talked about it at length yesterday on the program. And if they do ultimately go and make a trade, I said this yesterday, I anticipate it being a trade not unlike what the Braves did earlier this week to get their starter for Tuesday's game against the Royals. They traded with the Cardinals to get Eric Fetty. Eric Fetty's not a very good pitcher, but the Braves only had to give up cash to get a guy like him traded to the organization. If the Royals make a pitching move, it's going to be something like that, a cash move or a lower tier prospect or something. They're not going to give up much capital, in return to get a stopgap pitcher. But it is interesting considering that they DFA'd Rich Hill.
That's the part I don't understand. Why DFA Rich Hill?
They DFA'd Rich Hill because they knew that yesterday's game was going to be a bullpen game. The bullpen has already been taxed, and they needed to bring up another reliever. So the guy that they brought up was a bullpen arm from Omaha. They needed to have some reinforcements in that bullpen. And the day off today is so important for the Royals because in that Brave series, they took 2 of 3, but they used up a lot of innings in that bullpen. And so getting that bullpen fresh again is of the utmost importance. I haven't heard yet. I mean, Rich Hill has some time to make this decision. I haven't heard yet if he's going to elect free agency or if he's going to accept a role back in the minors or not. I would imagine, knowing where his career is right now at 45, he'll probably agree to go back to the minors, I would think, unless he just says, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to go home.
Yeah, I mean, he
But
could come back
that's
up.
why they did that. They did that because they needed additional reinforcements in the bullpen.
Yeah, I get it. It's a little bit of a stretch for me because they had the day off today. We'll see what Rich Hill does. Look, if he comes back up, I think that solves the problem we're talking about. What would you rather have, Rich Hill or go trade for something?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, yeah, short term, they needed another bullpen arm, like in yesterday's game, and then probably going into this weekend. But I mentioned it yesterday on the show. It wouldn't surprise me if JJ Piccolo has something up his sleeve to try to at least get another pitcher, another starter that they can bring in, somebody that they don't have to give up a whole lot of capital in return for.
Yeah, we'll check in on that on the other side of this break here in a minute, but we'll get into that because I do think it's just like option A, option B. Is it Rich Hill? Is it a trade that you make? Because if you look right now and that you've got these games, these insanely important games coming up on the road against Toronto and Boston, especially Boston right now. That series against Boston, who are you going to start? You're looking at hopefully Lorenzen coming back in another bullpen game, maybe, as you're about to play 9 games without a day off. So we'll dig into it on the other side. We're just getting started. Your comments always welcome. Facebook, YouTube, X. Thanks for watching us on 12 News Connected. You can call us at 869-1240. You can leave us voice messages on the Odyssey app. It's all Brockton Caster. We're coming right back on Sports Daily.
'97. WBC is short for Wichita Brewing Company, the brewery and pizzeria, with 3 locations right here in our hometown, Wichita. Pizza and beer born here and nestled in your neighborhood. East at Central and Woodlawn. West in historic
lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
The canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
This is Rich Eisen. Check out The Rich Eisen Show, 11 until 2 on Wichita's #1 sports station, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
310-1 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily here, and we are glad to be with you on a Thursday. If you want to win a trip to see the Zach Brown Band, Love and Fear live at Sphere Las Vegas this December, including a 2-night stay in a suite at the Venetian Resort, Las Vegas, the only hotel directed to the Sphere, it's easy. Just enter the national contest for a chance to win that trip. Download the Odyssey app, listen to KFH for at least an hour. You can learn more at odyssey.com/Zach. Thanks to the Messina Touring Group. Tommy, we come back in. What'd you think of that rain last night? Boy, it was raining a lot.
Came out of nowhere. We went to Kansas City for the Royals game yesterday. We were on our way back and ran into some rain on the way home. We get home. I'm like, all right, cool. I can kind of relax. It's a relatively nice evening or whatever. And then all of a sudden it was like a monsoon and we lost power for a couple of hours. And that was not the way that I expected the evening to go, but a lot of rain. I think the east side got a lot more than the west.
Yeah,
side.
we expected a little bit of rain. Like it was definitely, but it was one of those that just kept building up back over the back end of it, so it just wouldn't clear. And it rained a lot. That's what we keep having this. We keep getting these storms, and they just continue to form at times. So hopefully everybody stayed safe. Got a little rain, not too much rain, but got what you needed there, and it'll make everybody's yards green up. It'll make the golf courses green up if you're going out to play golf today. Tommy and I are playing tomorrow out at Crestview Country Club. Great supporters of the show. It might be a little soggy today. Hit them in the fairways. It would be the way to go. We appreciate Crestview Country Club's support of this show, by the way. Have you had a chance to get in there and try any of their new menu out, Tommy?
I've not. No, I'm going to try to do that this weekend, but I've heard it's pretty good. You've told me it's good.
Maybe after golf tomorrow, we'll have a little lunch date.
There you go.
Real cute.
I like that. Adorable.
Yeah, we'll check that out. Thank you to Crestview. Give them a call. Ask them about all their great membership options today. All right, Tommy, the Royals get a win yesterday. Most importantly, historic in nature, 9 bullpen arms, tied for the most combined in a shutout ever, which was impressive. There weren't a lot of scoring opportunities all around. Look, Wentz has had like 2 great starts. It feels like in his career, they both come to Kauffman Stadium. He did it with the Tigers as well. He's from the Kansas City area. So they got it done. They did what they needed to do. And now they're in a position, they're moving up those standings, just 3 games back. Now, this 6-game stretch they play is pretty critical because Toronto and Boston, most importantly, are 2 teams they are chasing. It feels, I mean, look, if they could go out and win both of those series on the road, it'd be fantastic. If they can come out of the 6 games and just be 500, I think we'll take that as a win at this point. And then their schedule loosens back up and they can kind of go on the attack again a little bit. But look, they're playing the way the Royals are playing right now offensively. I think it's all on the table. But back to the conversation we were having just before the break. Now they got to figure out what they're going to do in the rotation. I think Rich Hill just coming back up, if he'll do it, is probably the best option I can think of right now. I mean, I don't know that going to trade, like I know he wasn't great in the last one. He looked old and all that stuff, but he was fine in the one before that. Are they really going to find somebody that's doing much better? They know Waka's going on Friday. They know Lugo's going on Sunday, and that's all they know over the next 6 games, basically. It's no, Cameron will pitch at some point, but with Bubic down, without knowing what's going on with Lorenzen completely, the reason a trade makes some sense is because what else could happen? Like, this is kind of your last chance, right? Hill, if he accepts his assignment, could come back up at any point. You may still need to go find another starter outside of that. Dallas Keuchel hasn't been very good in the minor leagues. I think there's a moderate amount of urgency to go acquire somebody at the deadline here.
Well, I certainly think that there is. And I don't think that, even if there is that urgency, and I think that it's there, it's clearly palatable. I don't think that they obviously need to be giving up a lot to be able to try to get somebody like that in return. I don't know. I think that it's feast or famine offensively for the Royals. They put up a bunch of runs or they have a hard time even getting hits, out there at all. And that's the way it was yesterday. I owe an apology to Joey Wentz. Because I was not familiar with his game. If you want to go back to the old Shaquille O'Neal clip, I wasn't familiar with who he was, and he hasn't been very good this season. But he pitched great. Hit the Royals 6 2/3 yesterday. Like literally nobody could get anything going. And so I definitely think that it's something that the Royals have to recognize, that going back to the conversation with the rotation. If you want to do multiple bullpen games, at least in the interim, if you feel like you have to do multiple bullpen games in the interim, you're not always going to get what you got yesterday. It's not going to be that was the best bullpen game we've maybe ever seen in general. You can't duplicate that every single time. It's not an ideal situation when you're trotting out Zerpa to start a game, and he went 1 1/3, I think, to start the game off, and then obviously the different relievers after him. But what's crazy about this entire situation is that even though the rotation is depleted, the pitching staff is exhausted and injured and all of that, they're winning series.
Yeah.
This is what, their 3rd series in a row that they've won. And I remember you and I talking about it Tuesday morning after they lost the opening game against the Braves. I remember saying, you know what, it would totally just be what the Royals, will do to win the next 2 games in this series and end up gaining ground in the wild card. It would be a different conversation entirely if they were losing ground in the wild card, if they were fading away, if they weren't winning series. But here they are, even despite the deficiencies, despite the fact that they're having a hard time keeping arms healthy, they're still winning games and they're right back in this thing.
So I've got all the respect for Piccolo and Sherman for approaching this all the way they have done. They've been aggressive. You could say they've been as aggressive as any team when you consider they did not trade away Seth Lugo, but extended him at a deadline where the returns for some of these players appear to be pretty high. So the Royals would have had very attractive pieces, and instead even below 500, they believed in this roster. I don't know if you have subscribed to what I've been saying for the last 2 months, that at some point the Royals are going to get hot again and they're going to win games. Will it be enough? I think was a fantastic question that I have no idea what the answer to it is. But at some point, the team is too talented to not put it together, at least to a small degree. Now the question becomes, is it enough? And that's what makes it feel like they need to do something, is because they have backed this team up a great deal. So if you're going to do that, now I'm not saying go trade a top level prospect, but you've got to now take this next step you weren't planning on having to take. I don't know what Cole Reagan's status is. I think Lorenzen will be back soon. I think, right? But we know Chris Bubich isn't going to be back. So you need another starter. Even if it is Rich Hill down the stretch, you still need another starter. I mean, we've got 2 months of baseball to play, and the Royals are dropping like flies a little bit. They are offensively now becoming what we thought they would be at the beginning of the season. Their month of July was very nice. They weren't the best offense in baseball in July. They scored the 13th most runs in July, but the outliers are lifting. They're essentially top 10 in all the categories they've been last in baseball in. And I think that's probably a more realistic, place for this offense to be, which is right in the middle of the league, right? Right. Pretty average to maybe a tick above average if they're going right. So we're starting to see finally what we've been waiting on. And now they have all these injuries to deal with at the same time. So it's a really interesting spot. But if you're the front office and you've already kind of shoved all your chips in a little bit this year, you might as well just go find somebody. I don't know how many of those guys are left on the market. But there's got to be somebody out there. Somebody's got to be looking to dump some salary.
Yeah, it's interesting because you go back to, I don't know, probably May. That was kind of the first time that you're starting to have trade deadline conversations. And I remember us talking about different directions, back then. And it wildly swung from one direction to the other, and, selling everything off and then going and aggressively buying and doing all of that. And at the end of the day, it's going to land somewhere in the middle. It's going to land in this making some minor moves, getting better around the margins. I mean, I think that, when you acquire Frazier and you acquire Grichuk, both of whom started in yesterday's game, you're adding depth and versatility. You're adding potentially a little bit more offense. Neither one of those guys is a juggernaut at the plate, but at least they're something. And so you're kind of getting better in some areas that you feel like you need to at least have marginal improvement in. And then if you count the Seth Lugo extension as part of all of that, I mean, that's obviously their version of a blockbuster, I guess, during trade deadline season. But other than that, I mean, like they're not going out and acquiring big time players. They're not selling off big time players. They're just kind of floating around there and trying to find little pieces where they can get a little bit better. And if they do make another deal to get an arm between now and this afternoon, it's going to be in that same vein. It's not going to be anything major. It's not going to be anything wild. We're literally talking like a stopgap. We're talking a depth piece. We're talking somebody that can at least eat up some innings right now until they can get some of these guys back.
And the reason for that isn't that they wouldn't be interested. Look, I wouldn't put it past them, but they don't, like, if you look big picture with the Royals rotation, they don't really have room for, I mean, their rotation next year is set. The only now question there is that, Bubich and Reagan's are dealing with shoulders, which can be a little bit dicey. Otherwise, like if they didn't have all 5 guys locked up, I would say they need to be in the market for the controllable big time starting pitchers, right? But it's hard to look forward to that because they could always do it anyway and then come up on a situation like they did this last offseason where they trade one of those starting pitchers, which is what they did with Brady Singer. Again, I think it's unlikely.
Think about it this way. Like you mentioned, and I agree with you. I mean, they've got all 5 of their starters locked up for next season. So from a long-term perspective, it doesn't make a ton of sense for them to give up prospects or whatever to bring in an additional controllable starter because they already have their rotation ready to go. But if they go and try to acquire a rental, why? They're winning series and games with their rotation and pitching staff depleted as it is. It'd be different if they were like, man, like we're not winning these games. We've got to get reinforcements in here to help make it. They're winning games. Like they did a bullpen game yesterday and they won the game. So like that, I think that's kind of the conundrum that JJ Piccolo is in, is that you don't need a controllable piece in your rotation long term. And then a rental, you're winning games even without somebody in there right now. So they may just stand pat and do nothing.
I think it's because you're not 100% sure of what's coming back. Right now, they only have 3 starters. It's not like they have one hole in the rotation until we see Laurent. Like they have 2 holes in the rotation right now. As much
Daniel Lynch is working a rehab assignment in Omaha.
But unfortunately, that comes after the deadline, right? And so does potentially Cole Reagans. Who knows at this point? We know Bubic isn't coming back. So you're kind of hoping Lorenzen comes back, which will happen after the deadline. And you're maybe thinking Daniel Lynch could come back, which absolutely they should probably stretch him out right now because Hunter Harvey's back. And by the way, in this season, I don't believe he's given up a run in 8 appearances. If you go back plus what he's done, he got in the most trouble yesterday, but he did a nice job to get out of it. You can also maybe consider, because you're a little shaky in your depth, there will be, Lucas Ursig type players out there that you could potentially go identify and acquire. They don't need to do that either, because those 3 guys at the back end are locked in next year also. But it's sort of all on the table. And I think that's the really curious part. They have pushed it in. They still have a playoff chase to try to win, though, Tommy. Like they're still 3 games back. So yeah, that we're comfortable with what they've done, and it looks great next year.
They were 4.5 back on Sunday, and they have 3 starters in their rotation.
So you can't just sit on your hands, right? You still do have the games.
They're gaining ground without doing anything right now.
But it's like when they were. It's not. I mean, it's not to the extreme, but it's like when they were winning all those games in May, but you could see a clear problem.
I get it. I'm not saying they shouldn't add, but what I'm saying is that if JJ Piccolo doesn't, I understand why. Like I get at the end of the day what the justification would be.
I think
if they not go and acquire somebody.
If they don't, it probably tells us they're pretty confident in Michael Lorenzen's situation, and that they're making a commitment to putting Daniel Lynch in the rotation. Like I think if we don't see them make a move, it'll be pretty easy to understand why. Not making a move, if you know today on trade deadline day that Michael Lorenzen's fine and he's going to come back and make a start and you're good, and that either Daniel Lynch stretches out into a starter or you could get Rich Hill to just come right back up, yeah, you'd be fine with that it'd be no big deal. We don't know that right now. The team probably has a pretty good idea about that right now. But let's say both of those things are true. Let's say Lorenzen comes back. You think you're going to get Daniel Lynch stretched out and it's Rich Hill. You are still trying to win a playoff race right now, 3 games back of everybody that you've got to catch. If it's the rotation plus, let's say, Lorenzen and eventually Lynch with Rich Hill possibly, is that enough, you think, to go chase this down? You lost an all-star starter in Chris Bubic. You don't have the ace of your rotation you thought you had at the beginning of the year in Cole Reagans. Then there's that piece of it too, where maybe they still don't have enough to also try to go make the playoffs. So I think it would be savvy to get somebody else in there as a backup plan at minimum. I just don't want to totally close the door on the possibility that they actually go and get a good starting pitcher, and then you deal with having 6 of those guys in the offseason. They had 6 of those guys last year. They traded Brady Singer, and that's how they got Jonathan India. If they can come back and, all of these guys are healthy in the offseason, they still need a left field bat long term. Maybe they trade somebody away. So I don't think it's likely. I think it's possible. And I think it's something to watch. Could they go actually acquire a good starting pitcher with these injuries and just kick the can down the road of how you navigate it all later on? Bubic and Reagans are both dealing with shoulders. I don't think it's a terrible idea. We don't know that those guys are coming back the same. And Bubic has only got one more year of control after this year anyway. So we'll just watch it. I think they'll do something minor. I'm with you. I think it'll be very much like some of these other trades we've seen from teams where it's a dude it's just salary dump, basically, right? It's somebody that's not having a ton of success that just can get you the innings. We feel good about the bullpen. They need a starting pitcher that can come in and basically do what Rich Hill's done. Give you a chance into the 5th inning and then turn it over to a bullpen that's turning out to be a really deep and strong bullpen.
Yeah, I think that we all need to sort of just temper our expectations on any kind of potential move between now and this afternoon for the Royals. If it is anything, it's not, I don't think it's going to be a name to get excited about.
There aren't a lot of those guys out there anyway.
Yeah. There are pitchers that are like top of the heap, but
right.
Picola's not going after it.
Let's talk about that. And because some of the trades we saw yesterday in the returns, it's like, holy smokes. These teams got real good. Look at what the Twins did for a closer. We'll come back. We'll talk about it. It's Sports Daily next.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
This is Rich Eisen. Check out The Rich Eisen Show, 11 until 2 on Wichita's #1 sports station, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
83-1001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into the Jungle weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Back, everybody. Sports Daily. Thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up and ready to go. Boy, Tommy, I would have needed a gallon of Prairie Fire Coffee yesterday to make it through. Thanks to Brandon Zinner for hopping in. A little too much fun at the Creed concert. It was a good show. I was impressed. These guys still sound good, but they're light and pyrotechnic and that piece of it. And it was a sold out crowd, which I didn't know what that was going to be like either. They put on a good performance. They were good.
We were talking about it on the show yesterday, and I had seen some chatter on social media, people asking where the after party was for Creed.
We went and tried to find it.
There is no after party because everybody is old and everybody's going to bed after the concert.
There wasn't one. Shout out to a couple of listeners to the show who we were like, oh, and my wife sat down. I was like, yeah, let's go find another beer. So I was like, I'd never go out in Old Town. I don't know that I've ever really been out in Old Town since we've moved here for 10 years. We've been pregnant, and I guess it's 11 years now. And it was a Tuesday night, and which was quickly identified. And there were a couple listeners of the program that we hung out with for a little bit. It was fine, but it was way too late for an old man to be staying up on a Tuesday night. I'll tell you that. So thanks to Brandon for filling in yesterday, but a good show. Way to go, Creed and Daughtry. Look, Creed was an institution for about 5 years in the late 90s into the early 2000s, which was a quick reminder as you're listening to them and you're like, man, I know all of these songs. And I'm pretty familiar with the actual words to most of these songs. Just a reminder of how big a deal they were there for just a little bit. You and I of the generation.
Let's hear a couple of them.
Sing.
No, we're okay. I was a drummer in a rock band about the time of Creed. We went pretty hard, but we went on. Scott Stapp took us on what he called like a spiritual journey. He was exactly like you thought he'd be. It was interesting, but it was good. The show itself was high quality. They're definitely putting a lot into this tour, so we appreciate it. All right, Tommy, we look at the deadline, the moves made yesterday. Eugenio Suarez was the big one. It came late last night. Back to the Mariners. I've always thought that made the most sense, by the way. He goes there, adds to an offense that needs a little more juice, but now you're talking about an offense with Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Suarez, and Josh Naylor. That's pretty damn good when you know what kind of pitching they have, which is as good and deep a starting rotation as any team in baseball. The Mariners are very much for real now, and they were even before. They currently occupy the third wild card spot. So and they've lost 2 in a row also, which is sort of interesting. But as you look at it, the Rangers are white hot now. They have heated up. They're back in it. They're tied for that spot with Seattle. We know the Yankees are dealing with a Judge injury. Boston still sits there. And then Detroit, Toronto, and Houston, Detroit, who's won 4 in a row, by the way, are are a little ways ahead of their respective peers. They've got pretty good gaps. So then you get down to the Royals, a game under 500, the Royals who have almost clawed their way all the way back, Tommy, to an even run differential, which is pretty crazy. And, I use that thing pretty often when we're looking at like teams that are, and the reason is if you just go look at the standings right now, all the teams in the playoffs are in the green, which means they're above 0 in run differential, and all the teams that aren't basically are in the red. The biggest outlier is Tampa, as they've had a really good run differential, and I think it'll probably stay that way. But the Royals are clawing their way back to it after a good offensive July. So that's where we stand. The other moves, the biggest haul that we've seen yesterday came for Johan Duran, for the closer for the Twins, who we've seen plenty and know is electric. He goes and brings back what would be top prospects in almost every farm system in baseball. Like would be teams' top 2 prospects or 2 of their top 3 or 4 prospects. Like it was a big, big haul for him. Now he has another 2 years of control. He goes to the Phillies, who I think can trade prospects a little more liberally because they're always going to be aggressive in free agency. But man, oh man, that was a kind of a stud. See how much he brought back in return. And if that's the going rate for players with control, then you got to stand back. And to be fair, he's considered one of the best in baseball, one of the best relievers. But it's been an expensive deadline hire, to say the least.
Yeah, and again, the teams that we know for sure that are pushing all of their chips in and going for it, they're willing to give up what they need to give up to get these top tier guys. Whether we're talking about the Mariners and Suarez, or getting a reliever, a closer like Duran, the Phillies bringing him in. There are teams that are willing to pay the price to do what they need to do to make that final push, to get over that hump, to be legitimate championship contenders. And there are still quite a few big names out there. It was interesting because on yesterday's show, things had quieted down pretty significantly when we were talking about it. There hadn't been a whole lot done in the 24 hours preceding yesterday morning show. And then throughout the day yesterday, and especially last night, things really started to pick up. That's probably going to continue as the day goes on. We all know how popular relievers are at the trade deadline. So there were like a dozen of them traded yesterday. There probably will be a whole lot more of them as the day goes on today, as teams are, they recognize they can get value in return if they offer up some of their more high leverage back in bullpen pieces. But then there are also top of the rotation type guys, and some that are controllable, some that are not. There are rentals out there. The Orioles have like 3 different starters that are basically rentals at this point. Charlie Morton is one of them. Zach Eflin is one of them. There are a few other ones around the league that teams could be looking at as kind of a short-term possibility where they maybe don't have to give up a tremendous amount in return. But I do anticipate we'll see quite a few more of those big names moved.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you this. Do you see any world where the Royals need to go acquire a reliever? If they didn't go after a starter and Daniel Lynch is coming back, and I know they just got Hunter Harvey, I just wonder if the bullpen is going to be used more, because you've got Noah Cameron, who is a rookie, right? Lorenzen has been shakier even before the injury. You've got Lynch. If you use him as a starter, how deep is he going to take you into games? They do have now, with Hunter Harvey back healthy, and Carlos Estevez and Lucas Ursig, and Schreiber's been very good, respectable. Steven Cruz has been for a lot of the year. I wonder if they don't have room to go also add another relief pitcher. It would be nice if they could go identify like a controllable arm. They hit on Harvey. If he's healthy and can stick around, and Ursig more so, could they be a team that could use another reliever? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I think their bullpen's going to get taxed more down the stretch here than it has all year long. Lorenzen's not as good. Cameron's going to be pushing innings limits probably that he hasn't seen before. You might lose Lynch out of the bullpen if he becomes a starter. I don't think that's a bad option either, to look that way, even if it is just a rental. But for somebody that maybe could help you on the back end, how many 6-inning starts are they going to get out of their starters down the stretch here? It'll certainly be less than what they've had up until this point. Something to think about
I would say no. I would say no, that's not the priority for me. It'd be different if they hadn't have just gotten Hunter Harvey back. And you and I were texting about it when they did call him back up, or maybe it was when he was going to have a rehab appearance or whatever that was, that it came out of nowhere. Like, we hadn't heard about Hunter Harvey in a long time. And, I do have a little bit of skepticism about his durability, and how long he's going to be able to be healthy, because, I mean, let's be real. Let's face it. They got him a year ago. He's been on that roster for a year and has barely pitched. And so while it's great that he's there, who knows how long that's going to last. I'd like to be optimistic about that, but history has not been kind during his time in a Royals uniform. But knowing that they just got him back, I don't think you prioritize a bullpen piece. I understand the rationale. If you don't have pitchers like starters that can get you deep into ball games consistently, that you might need an additional bullpen piece. I understand that. But if the Royals are going to do anything with their pitching staff, if they're going to go out and acquire anybody, it's got to be another starter. It's got to be somebody that can eat up multiple innings every 5 days. That's got to be the priority right now, because outside of Waka and Lugo and Cameron, that's basically all you've got. So I'd rather prioritize bringing in another starter, even just somebody as a stopgap. And honestly, I don't know how many pitchers are like this in Major League Baseball, but if you could get a replica of Michael Lorenzen, somebody that can bounce back and forth to do spot starts here and there for you, but also pitch out of the pen, that's kind of killing two birds with one stone, kind of solving the issue right there for you.
Yeah, that would be, Lorenzen, they need it back. Look, there also is a world where they get Lorenzen back, Daniel Lynch gets stretched out, and they have Rich Hill. I think, and we just spent the last segment talking about why that's probably not safe enough either. The point of all of it is I think that there are moves for them to make today. I don't know how they'll attack it, but I think they'll attack it, and I think they'll go for it. And why wouldn't you? At this point, you're closer than you've been in a long time. You've already made some big commitments to push it in. They haven't done anything that is not also, something that potentially helps them long-term also. But the good news is, and I suspect you'll agree with this, the needs now for a bat, we can sort of put those behind us. We saw an entire month. Salvi was perhaps baseball's best hitter in the month of July. They added Grichuk and Frazier to sort of give them some depth in the lineup. I think we're done with that part of it, which is wild over the course of a week to put that aside and now look at the pitching staff, which we thought was just fine. But I think we're probably good with the positional players in this line. I think they're done there. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think it's pretty much all pitching here.
It's got to be. I mean, it literally has to be. And I recognize that with how thin that they are, I don't disagree that anytime you can add additional bullpen arms, that's not a bad thing. So if they did ultimately make a move this afternoon to get in another reliever, okay, I'm not going to be mad about that. I'm not going to be upset. I just don't think that's what you prioritize.
Yeah. Well, and the market will dictate a lot of this. And if they do nothing, that's also probably okay with me. I'm good, because they are still 3 games back, facing some injuries. If they just decide to say, all right, that's it, we're going to see what happens, let's see where the chips fall, I will be okay with that. I have no issue with that either. I think their biggest thing that they did was extending Seth Lugo. And that was a huge organizational decision that they made. And I'm good if that's the last thing essentially that they'll do. I'm fine with it. So it'll be a fun day. We'll keep watching it and see what happens. When we come back on the other side, we're going to have some football talk. Let's talk Chiefs. We know Tim Fitzgerald's coming in to talk a little K-State football, and we also have the Aftershocks in action tonight. So we'll get into all of it on the way out. Let's give away some HTO. If you want to win a free iced tea on us, you can. Just text the keyword tea to the short code 20357. More than 25 flavors of the world's best iced tea. You can get it at East Wichita, West Wichita, or in Derby. You can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Good luck, everybody. That's tea 20357. We'll come back. Another hour of Sports Daily coming your way. Don't go away.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
This is Rich Eisen. Check out The Rich Eisen Show, 11 until 2 on Wichita's #1 sports station, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
83-1001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Daily. Albrock and Caster, glad to be with you. Another hour here coming your way. The Summer Concert Series back in Wichita at NAFSCAR Park this weekend. Series returns Friday, August 1st. Lucky People live on stage. Gates open at 6:30. Show starts at 8. Enjoy free live music, food trucks, and Friday night fun all summer long. You can find the full schedule at kfhradio.com. We come back in here, and Tommy, did you see yesterday the fun with the TBT and the Aftershocks teasing Ron Baker?
I did.
Ron Baker's not going to play, everybody, by the way. But even if they could get him to suit up just, for fun, they need like 50,000. What did they say? 50,000 likes. They have like
50,000 likes on a picture. If nothing else, it should be like a senior night type thing that they do in college. They suit him up. He gets to be in the starting lineup, plays until the first time out, and then he, goes.
Ron, no, I don't even think he could do that. I think Ron would tell you his shoulder is toast. But and like people were like, oh, what? I'm like, guys, hang on. There's $1 million on the line. These guys have reached the semifinals. They're not just going to be cool with, Ron playing 15 minutes. But I think they're having fun with it. I love that. Ron's still involved with all of that. And yeah, if they can get him out there to, inbound to pass or whatever he's physically still capable of on a basketball court at that level, go for it. You're going to need a lot of likes, though. You'll have to go find that tweet and like it. But I thought that was funny. I love, it's a part of what makes the tournament great. The fact that they do everything they can to make it a big and fun event, to sell tickets, whatever it is, like they'll do it. They moving the Aftershocks game to 7:00 just because why wouldn't you do that? Like all the little things that they do, hopefully help lead to another great crowd because, we're to that point now. Like this is serious business at the same time as it's as fun as it is. There's $1 million on the line. They're 2 wins away from that, and they're playing these games at home. So get out there if you can. And make it as rowdy as it was. What night was that?
Sunday night?
Sunday night. Whatever night it was an awesome environment. Let's see if we can replicate that tonight. 7:00 tip from Charles Koch Arena. And I think they got a really good shot. We are D3 is another one of those teams that knows how to play in this tournament. They're always around, like that's just like the Heartfire team and some of the other teams they beat. But we're kind of to the point where the Aftershocks are that too now. Like they're one of those teams that are always finding success in this tournament. And it would be so fun to see them finally get over the hump. The everyday Aftershocks that have been a part of this thing from the beginning. I mean, Tom, are getting a little long in the tooth, like, I don't know how many more times they're going to be able to do this. So let's hope they can get it done.
Yeah, it's kind of the culmination of multiple years of them having success, but coming up just a little bit short year in and year out. And so if they can get over that hump this year, get a win tonight, move on to the finals. I mean, I can't imagine when the last time Koch Arena would be as rocking, as that, if they were playing for $1 million.
On a Sunday night. Yeah. I think people would generally get, I mean, I think they could tonight. Yeah, it's after, yeah. I mean, it's a 7:00 tip. It's not early. Can they get another what did they have? 4,500 on Sunday night?
Yep.
That might be a stretch. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but you never know. But I definitely think they could Sunday night. But you got to get through this game, and We Are D3 is going to be good. And the Aftershocks will get it going, and it's been a lot of fun to watch them and everything that they do. I love that event. And I've said this before. Well, one, we love the Elam ending. It makes it so much fun. But it's just the fact that maybe it's just me. Like you take so much pride in where you are showing up big for things, and Wichita just always does it, right? Wichita just always shows up, whether it's the NCAA tournament, no matter what. It's just like we're going to show up and we're going to make this a fun environment. And I'll bet you when folks were what 6 years ago now, looking for sites, and they said, "Oh, we'll come play there." They never expected the kind of environment that they would just consistently get at Charles Koch Arena. So good luck tonight to the Aftershocks. Hopefully they get a win and give us a championship game on Sunday, and hopefully all those guys who have worked their tails off to play basketball can go win $1 million. That would be it would be a lot of fun. That is later tonight. No baseball today for the Royals, Tommy. We didn't talk a lot about in all of our Royals conversations the game itself yesterday. Salvador Perez with the game-winning hit in extra innings on the first pitch he saw with the ghost runner there at second. MJ Melendez contributed. So
he kind of contributed. I mean, he scored the winning run. He was the ghost runner.
He didn't do anything to get out there, but he scored the winning run.
He was on base.
Something. And the bullpen was great for 10 innings, which is crazy. That is really impressive. And it wasn't one of those games where you felt like the Royals were wasting opportunities. They only really had, the only one I can remember, and it was day game, so I was, watching it while at work. The only real wasted opportunity it felt like to me was when Isbell led off the inning with a walk. And I don't even know that they got him to second. That was where I was like, all right, that's going to come back to bite him.
The only batter that had any kind of success against Wentz was Michael Garcia, who was in the leadoff spot, by the way. Jonathan India had the day off.
Yep.
They let off Garcia, and he got a hit and he walked. He was the best, I guess, out of all of them offensively for the Royals, really until the 10th inning, until Salvi hit that walk-off. And it was funny because you put Melendez on second. I'm at the game. The Braves had squandered a couple of chances. In the 10th, they had, I think, runners on first and third with no outs, and they didn't get any runs across. And it was Sam Long, I believe, on the bump. And I'm like, man, this is a key spot for the Braves. They're going to score a couple here. And then Long was able to shut them down and get out of the jam and get out of the inning. And as soon as I saw it was Salvi leading off with Melendez on second, I'm like, well, here we go. It's going to be a walk-off. Just first batter, get it done, everybody goes home. And sure enough, that's what happened.
And the best first pitch swinger in baseball gets it done on the first pitch. Yeah, it was a win you feel good about because you survived it and you got it done. It was a bullpen game. That was the problem with that series. Yeah, they ought to beat up on the Braves, but one of the games was Rich Hill on the mound and the other was a bullpen game. Okay, well, we could look back. If things go well for the Royals, that's a pretty big spot that they were able to get that win yesterday. And it was with a ghost runner, which you give me a hard time. I'm over the ghost runner, but it was there were so many opportunities for that game to get away from them, and they didn't. And then
the ghost runner sure came in handy for the Royals yesterday.
It did last night. Yeah,
I told you, I said if they didn't have that ghost runner, the game would have went 15 or 16 innings because
might still be going.
Neither team could hit, and so that was important for the Royals to at least have the ghost runner in that game. But I think that from a talking big picture, taking 2 of 3 from the Braves in that spot, and you look at Atlanta's record.
Right,
they're far out of it and everything, but they have a ton of talent up and down that roster. There are a couple of guys that the Braves could move at the trade deadline today. Marcelo Ozuna is one of them, and Raisel Iglesias is one of them. They could move some players, but they've got Matt Olson and they've got Austin Riley and Ozzie Albies. They've got a lot of talent on that team, and so I don't think that their record.
No.
So the fact that the Royals were able to take 2 of 3 from that team, I do think that's important.
I think it's important because they had Rich Hill start a game and they had a bullpen game.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, okay. Rich Hill was shelled and he walked too many guys and that didn't go well for the Royals. But the fact that knowing going in going to be the scenario to take 2 of 3 is a big, that could be pretty big. Now, the problem for the Royals here, the rest of the stretch, is they have no room to have a bad week. That's out the window. I don't think the rest of the season they're going to be able to afford that. So now as they get on the road for the next 9 games, the first 6 of them against, starting tomorrow, Toronto and Boston, there's just no wiggle room for them. So that's what presents itself. Again, it's not today. They get the day off today. They start those series tomorrow. We'll have much more on them tomorrow. When we come back, Tommy, let's check in St. Joe. Things are hot. We have some injury news to get through with the Chiefs and a wide receiver. And Steve Spagnuolo talked yesterday. And man, it sounds like this rookie class has a chance to be really, really impactful. Whether they want to or not, they might not have a choice. That's something I think we should look at, because we could be looking at them needing 4 or 5 rookies to be contributors. We'll talk about it next. Don't go away. It's Albrecht and Caster. It is a Thursday on Sports Daily.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
This is Rich Eisen. Check out The Rich Eisen Show, 11 until 2 on Wichita's #1 sports station, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into the jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
On your way into work and want to keep listening to Sports Daily even after you park the car with the Odyssey app and Odyssey.com, you can just download the app or visit Odyssey.com and search for KFH. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in here today. You can give us a call at 869-1240, always the number for you. Max Powers got that. Ready to rock and roll. He's also monitoring our voice messages through the Odyssey app. Another way you can get in touch with the program, or, of course, you can leave us comments on our video streams. Thanks for watching on 12 News Connected, Facebook, YouTube, X, as we move along. Let's talk a little football, Tommy. We'll start with the Chiefs, and then we can take you kind of around the rest of the NFL a little bit. But the news yesterday of Chiefs camp was that Xavier Worthy is now in the concussion protocol, something to watch. He banged his head. Actually, I think returned to practice, and then maybe now they're being extra safe. I don't know if that was follow-up testing. I'm not sure that sequencing. But he's out for a little bit. Hollywood Browns is not thought to have been too serious. We know we're waiting on the Rashee Rice situation. There's a decent chance Jalen Royals could be leaned into early. I mean, I don't think we can ignore Hollywood Brown's availability issues over the course of his career, as much as it's good to have him back, and I hope he doesn't have any of those issues. They may need the rookie early on to do some things. And it's good then that I don't think it's just chatter. I don't remember with Worthy or Rice that they were being praised. I could be wrong about this. Maybe you remember. If they were ever praised for picking things up and understanding things quickly. And that's what people keep saying about Royals, is that he's picking things up quickly, which would be the thing that they need him to do the most, right? Is because that's what usually holds these rookies back in this offense. But when you look at him, then we'll get to some of the rookies on the defensive side of the ball. This could be a pretty important class.
I think it's going to be an extremely important class. I mean, Josh Simmons alone makes it an extremely important class.
It's the biggest storyline for them.
Yeah, I mean, somebody that can be your anchor at left tackle for potentially years to come. And finally not have a revolving door there. I mean, absolutely, that makes it an extremely important and impactful rookie class just with Josh Simmons. And then you add in some of these other guys that are there, whether we're talking about Omar Norman-Lott or Brashard Smith at running back. Like there are Ashton Gelati. Like there are up and down that rookie class. There are probably more rookies that can make an immediate impact.
Is that good though?
No, I think it's great. I mean, I think.
Well, no. Is it good that they might need them to? I mean, we don't know yet whether the players are or not.
No, sure. No, I think it's a really good thing because they always need impactful rookies, and whether or not the rookies can deliver, that's been the question. Like, look at a year ago, they pressed Kingsley Suamataia into action. And he was not ready to go. Like he was not the guy at left tackle.
Right. But they had to. That's I guess that's
they do that every year. I mean, that's the way that a Brett Veach team is built because they don't go out and spend a bunch of money in free agency. So you have to rely on drafting well and pressing your rookies into action right away.
We don't know. What I'm saying is, yeah, that was definitely the case with Kingsley. He just wasn't good enough. So I'm getting the indication that Norman-Lott, Gelati, maybe Royals, obviously Josh Simmons are going to need to step up and play large roles, maybe early. That's a lot of pressure on getting the players right, because we don't know. We're not going to know that until the games start. But
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I think that's by design.
I'm not saying it's wrong either. I'm just saying it's a lot of pressure for a rookie. Last year with Kingsley, that lot of pressure didn't work. But they obviously have countless times where it does. It's just interesting to see how much those guys have been talked about early on here. Not Simmons. We all knew Simmons was going to get talked about, and we're all watching left tackle reps closer than we've ever watched before. But all the other guys, it's been interesting to hear all the chatter about them, and we'll find out what kind of class this is probably really quick, because these guys are going to need to play important roles for the Chiefs. There's no doubt about it. We'll watch this Worthy injury. It's probably, but the two most notable newsworthy things that have happened this camp are both involving wide receivers, right? Rashee Rice and now Worthy in the concussion protocol. He'll probably, in training camp, I imagine they're even more cautious than any time. So I bet
Hollywood Brown did dodge a pretty serious injury, and so that's a notable thing too. I think you wrap that guy in bubble wrap and leave him alone for the rest of the preseason. That's what I would do. Be very, very, very careful with him, especially in the preseason, because you don't want that to happen. What happened last year happen again. I think Worthy will be okay. It's the concussion protocol, obviously, so you don't exactly know, but he banged his head first play of practice on Tuesday and then returned and practiced the rest of the day, and then ultimately entered into the protocol. So, we'll have to keep an eye on that, but they've got enough depth at that position as of right now that I'm not overly concerned about Worthy. And we're talking about training camp. We're not talking about what's happening in a preseason game or anything like that, where it could potentially impact his week 1 status. So
I do think you got to worry about concussions anytime. Not for obvious reasons, but they can, that's just a thing for players that can. Now his was helmet to ground, kind of unavoidable, right? And I don't believe he's ever had any issues there, but seeing concussion issues is always a little bit. We just got to be, that depth is going to get tested. And Juju Smith-Schuster was talked a lot about yesterday. Boy, they're glad they've got him in the room right now. It is the dog days. It is the dog days of training camp. This is the worst part for the players. Like, this is when it's hot, it's humid, they're in pads. We know Andy Reid works them hard. So we go on. Elsewhere in the NFL, big headline yesterday was that Trey Hendrickson reported, Tommy, and said some really interesting things. I don't know if you saw all of what he talked about, basically saying he's not gonna be a distraction. He was always gonna be there. He thinks it's unfair and selfish to not help with the development of the young players. All the things you want to hear if you're a fan of the Bengals, and all the things you want to hear if you're the owner of the Bengals that isn't interested in paying a lot. Like, that's an interesting play. I don't have any problem with it. I think it's awesome, but it can't be good in a contract negotiation. So it looks like he's just going to be there and go full steam ahead. And I don't know if that has any impact on Micah Parsons and what he does, but one of these edge rushers now, and as we talk about the Royals, Hendrickson looks like he'll be ready to roll and be there all the year long.
I saw all this chatter yesterday with him ending the holdout that he was caving to the Bengals, and I honestly,
he's making a choice.
I don't see it as caving. He knew that he was losing money every single day that he was missing, and so at least in the short term, he didn't really have much other choice but to actually report. But I do think that he, in my opinion, has the upper hand, because what are the Bengals going to do? Like, they have to sign him, they have to get him back.
Yeah,
they don't have anybody else.
He may lose the leverage to make more than TJ Watt if he really wanted to go down that route. But I would ask it to you this way. Was Travis Kelce caving that he never came in the room and demanded to be paid like a wide receiver? Because guess what? He did, and he could have been if he really wanted to. But he didn't do it. Why? This dude loves to play football. Right? He knows for him that it's important that he's there for the team. And I'm not saying guys that hold out aren't doing this. I can't imagine myself ever being a holdout because they're under contract, right? You're not a free agent. You're under contract. I signed a contract to play football in 2025 for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to be there playing football. I know there are injury risks. He'll be fine. He'll be taken care of. So I get it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the other side because that's the business of football. But I would fall more in line personally to that, right? To what Hendrickson's saying and doing. Like how it would be. And look, do you remember how much that weighed emotionally on Chris Jones?
Absolutely.
Like it affected him a great deal. So I totally get not wanting to have to go through that. You're going to make a lot of money, right? You already have. You're going to. Everything's going to be okay. To be away from your team when you feel like, and I'm sure he does, that you've got a chance to win a Super Bowl and you've got these young players and you're a leader on this team. I totally get it. I get being there. I get everything that he's saying. You know, I'm sure you've got an agent telling you can't do it, man. You gotta hold out here if you really want to get paid. And then you just have to make a personal decision. And he made a personal decision. And I applaud him for that. It's one of the reasons Micah Parsons' situation gets interesting. He could be the highest paid, but it's a distraction now. It's a problem. It's a public fight, like all these things that you don't want for your team. And Hendrickson simply made a choice not to do that anymore. And I think that's respectable. Is it the only path? No, but it's his path. I got no problem with it.
I don't fault him at all for wanting to hold out. I honestly, because he's under contract and everything. And I get that. I get you want to make sure that you honor the terms of your contract and whatever, like that's fine. But at the same time, you're dealing with a sport where there is inherent injury risk all the time. And so I think you got to recognize that, hey, this is an opportunity where I'm coming up on a contract year and who knows what'll happen this season. I hope I don't get hurt, but if I do, then my value is going to decline. And so I want to get locked in right now. So let's start negotiating. Let's start figuring it out. And for the Bengals, it'd be different if they had, just a pool of talent on the defensive side of the ball that they could say, hey, you know what, next man up, Trey. Like, we're not gonna cave to you because we have all of this talent. We have a wealth of it on the defensive side of the ball. And so we don't need to cave to you. We don't need to negotiate and give you what you want because we have X, Y, and Z on the defensive side. They don't. And Trey Hendrickson knows that. Like, he is the guy defensively for the team. They were a bad defense with him last year. How much worse will they be without him? And so I don't blame him at all for saying, look, I'm under contract. I don't want to be a distraction. I don't want to be that guy that, takes away from the team and all of that. That's why I do admire the fact that he got on a plane and went to Cincinnati, even though he's not practicing. But I don't think he's lost leverage, in my opinion. I think the Bengals have to pay him. I think they have to take care of him because he's been the one constant and the one key guy defensively.
And it is a good point to say that he's just there. But the fact that he's there, I think, is important for his team. It's just he could probably, if he really wanted to take this thing to the finish line, he could probably get where Garrett and Watt are. But it would take that with the Bengals particularly to get there. I suspect he will ultimately sign a deal that falls somewhere underneath those guys, even though he's been just as productive as either of them. He's made $60 million, I think, roughly, and will at the end of this year. Like, it's not like, again, like at some point, and I bring up Travis Kelce because it makes me think of this all the time. Like, at some point, you're out there and you want to win a Super Bowl and you want to do all this stuff. Like, you just got to, like, you just make a personal choice. And maybe his personal choice is, man, the money ain't the most important thing. And I'm going to do that. Now, maybe he still just doesn't play, but I'll bet you he lands somewhere underneath those other two guys. And that would be the leverage I think that he's lost. Because I think if he really wanted to take the Bengals to the screws, he could do it. Jamar Chase just did it. Joe Burrow did it. Those are both highest paid guys at their position. We know the Bengals will do it eventually. But I don't think he wants to do that. And I'll bet you he ends up somewhere underneath those guys, where if he wanted to, he could become the highest paid defensive player in football, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, I think that we'll see a little bit of a different scenario with him and the way the Bengals operate with all of that and what they ultimately end up doing with him than what we're probably going to see with Micah Parsons and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that these two things are happening at the same time because you can compare and contrast them and draw some parallels between them. Same position, high impact player, negotiations, owners that are both very involved in the player personnel side on the team, both Jerry Jones and Mike Brown with the Bengals. So like there's a lot going on there that you can draw comparisons to, but I think that they may end up a little bit different. I mean, I ultimately think both guys are going to get paid, but I'm not sure that it's going to be I don't think it'll be as contentious with the Bengals and Hendrickson as it's going to ultimately end up being with Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones.
Which is crazy, and which is why I think the Cowboys should trade Parsons, because Hendrickson, you know what Hendrickson's making this year? Just under $16 million at 31 years old. Parsons will make 25 almost at 26 years old. Hendrickson's been a far more productive player. Now, Parsons has been as productive as any player in history up into this point of his career, right? I'm not trying to say Parsons ultimately won't be as good or better than Hendrickson, but the two situations to me are very, very different. Parsons is going to make a bunch of money this year and is young and like all of these things. Hendrickson's been as good a defensive end as we've had in football for like 4 years now and is making a third essentially of what TJ Watt's making right now. Like I think you've got two different situations, and it's just that's why I think the Cowboys and Parsons, as much as I love that player, I just don't think it's the right fit. I don't. And that's why I think they'd be smarter to trade him. If they wanted to sign him, they could have done it a long time ago. Hendrickson's a little different to me. Hendrickson's been there for a long time. He's been doing it for a long time. He's older. He's got more urgency and needing to get a deal done just because he's older. Like I think
Jerry ain't gonna trade Micah Parsons. That's not. It might be the right thing to do.
Can they hire Jimmy Johnson back for a week? Jimmy Johnson did this with Herschel Walker.
I know.
Now the Cowboys were terrible when they did that, and he's famously said he knew it was the only way. But do you really want to give Dak the best chance and then go get a ton of capital for him to Dak looks good in video, by the way. I don't know if you've seen any of Dak. He looks pretty good. He looks nimble. Coming off of an injury, which is good to see that he's still got a little movement there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it happening. But good. I'm glad. I hope Trey Hendrickson plays. I know Chiefs fans don't want to hear that. I really like watching Trey Hendrickson play. I think he's awesome. And is there a more underrated player you think in football the last 3 or 4 years? A player that's not talked about. Like we talk about TJ Watt all the time. Hendrickson's been just as good. I think he flies under the radar a little bit, but I think he's really good. So that one's there. Terry McLaurin's another one that everybody's watching. He is holding in, essentially. That's another one that really surprises me. And I don't know what McLaurin wants, but man, it's hard for me to believe that the Commanders let that thing go very much longer. Your most important offensive weapon for your second-year quarterback, and you've gone out and you've made some monumental trades to kind of go all in this year. You can't let that one last too much longer if you're the Commanders. And again, I don't know what McLaurin's asking for, but can you start with the contract Cortland Sutton just got at the exact same age? Like, is that enough?
Yeah, that to me, that Cortland Sutton contract didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, I feel like I didn't think so. I mean,
for the Broncos?
The Broncos are committing a lot of money to him. I think it would make sense to me if that was a Terry McLaurin deal.
I think it's the exact same situation. They've got a rookie quarterback that they feel good about, and it's his number one target. I think you can't afford not to bring back their favorite target. You know, like you if you want to do everything you can to help it. Now, is it the best roster decision? I don't know, but at some point,
I don't think that's that. I get the whole good target and they have a connection, Bo Nix and Sutton and all of that, but that's locking in a receiver for a while that is not. He's good, but he's not great. He's not Justin Jefferson, and I think Terry McLaurin is more essential to the Commanders' success than locking in Cortland Sutton long term. But I do think they'll get McLaurin done. They've got to for Jaden Daniels.
I mean, they had almost identical numbers last year. Listen to this. Sutton, 81 catches a year ago. McLaurin, 82. Sutton, 1,081 yards a year ago. McLaurin, 1,096. McLaurin had a ton of touchdowns, and McLaurin has been a better receiver a little bit. Sutton's been good. Sutton's also had horrible quarterbacks, but so has McLaurin. But they're very similar. Like I go to McLaurin and I say, "Here's this. Will you take the Sutton deal? We'll do it." I don't, but he may want more than that because he has been better a little bit. But they're pretty similar. They're pretty similar. We'll watch that one too. All teams that feel like they can go for a Super Bowl. So we keep our eye on it as it pertains to the Chiefs. We'll come back. Tim Fitzgerald should be with us here. We'll talk a little K-State when we return.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
The canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
This is Rich Eisen. Check out The Rich Eisen Show, 11 until 2 on Wichita's #1 sports station, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into the jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Page. And now, digging deeper with the teams you follow, it's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Sports Daily. We are joined now by insider Tim Fitzgerald. Fitz, glad to be with you. We're just talking about it's the dog days of Chiefs training camp. Is it the dog days yet of K-State camp?
Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, we talked to Chris Kleiman on Monday, and he said, I can't believe we've already had 5 practices, and we've got offensive coaches later this morning with, a couple more practices under their belt. Yeah, they're grinding away, and luckily it's going to be a little bit cooler for a stretch here.
Well, let's talk about the big news from Chris Kleiman over the last couple of days, giving an update on George Fitzpatrick. We talked about it last week about how he suffered a medical incident at practice, and Coach Kleiman said that he's not expected to be available that first week in Ireland, the game in Dublin against Iowa State. What do we know about Fitzpatrick's recovery and what that all looks like? And is there any kind of timetable for when he might be available?
Yeah, I mean, it answered some questions right away about the severity, and it's not career-ending, it's not season-threatening. He's been back in the building. He's, on a timetable set by the medical team, and they expect him to be full go eventually. They just don't know, for sure when his body will be totally ready to go. So John Pastore, a guy who was a really promising recruit and then was injured all last year, has roared to life this fall. They're just kind of blown away about how good he's playing right now, and he's manning that left tackle spot. And honestly, that may not change. That's how good he's been. We'll see when Fitzpatrick comes back how the offensive line shakes out.
What about the line as a whole, Fitz? I know that's one of the big questions we have this year is, are they going to be an elite level line or a good line, above average line? How they look so far? I know it's hard in practice to judge an offensive line, but what have you seen?
Yeah, when we were at the open practice, I think it was a week ago, it was really weird to see only 14 guys in the offensive line group stretching. It should be 15 with Fitzpatrick, but normally there's a lot more. And that's one of the positions that was thinned out quite a bit by the proposed roster limits that K-State enforced before they undid it. But talking to Kleiman, this is a really good group. I think he feels like they've got more depth than they have at any point since he's been at K-State. Now, finding all the pieces that fit together into one cohesive unit, I mean, it's a big step. And when you're bringing in, 3-4 transfers, and you've got, other guys coming up through the ranks that haven't played, you're putting together a whole different dance card, and they're going to have to figure it out and get on the same page with each other as quickly as possible.
It was really exciting last season, Fitz, to watch the growth of Jace Brown at wide receiver and what he was able to do offensively. He's an exciting playmaker, dynamic type guy. Outside of him, I know that it was a priority for the Wildcats to attack wide receiver in the portal. And so I think that depth is obviously going to be crucial at that position. Have you gotten any kind of idea on what things look like on that depth chart at wide receiver after Jace Brown?
Chris Kleiman was really vague about that. In fact, I think that's a really competitive position group, and they're waiting to see, now that they're going to get it into more tangible practices, who steps forward. I think there's no doubt that Jaron Tibbs will be one of the guys that plays quite a bit. The Purdue transfer has turned into one of Avery Johnson's most reliable targets in practice. So that gets you at two. And I mean, they've got more transfers and more young guys, and we'll see how it all falls into place. But I think they feel like they've got a better set of receivers for Avery's second year as a starter than his first, because he had a lot of drops. I think the stat was 16% drops, which is abnormally high, and I think that's something that will be corrected this year and make the offense more efficient.
You're muted, Jacob. I'll go ahead. I'll ask you another question there, Fitz.
Okay.
So defensively with the safeties, what do things, I mean, I know that's been a major focus too defensively for Joe Klanderman. He spoke on that position group yesterday. How do things look as far as the secondary is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really competitive spot, particularly safety. They brought in some guys through the portal. They've got some young guys coming up. Of course, VJ Payne is an anchor back there as what will be a 4-year starter or a 4-year contributor, I guess. I mean, they feel really good about Gunnar Maldonado. He's not full go in practice yet, the Arizona transfer. I think Coach said tomorrow might be the day that they cut him loose, or maybe next week. But he's been cleared for 7-on-7, just not full contact, and I think he might be there. And being a veteran, I expect him to pick it up very quickly, and kind of move right into the lineup. Coach talked about Quay Moss, another transfer that they really like, and again, you got some young guys. I'm just a huge Jack Fabris fan. I think the safety spot's actually going to be pretty good, as long as, unlike last year when they couldn't play zone defense, and if those guys kind of turn into a more cohesive unit, understanding what page they're on with everyone else, I think they'll be okay. But again, that's a spot where you're putting together a lot of different pieces, young guys, transfers, and veterans, and they got to get on the same page.
All right, Fitz, sorry, I was blowing my nose there for everybody that was wondering. But we're back now. Tim Fitzgerald, publisher, gopowercat.com. We've made it this entire time without specifically talking about Avery, which is it's progress, right? But the reality is, like, when you talk K-State football, and this is going to happen this year, especially if they're good, the conversation's always going to start with Avery Johnson.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's put on a little weight, which sounds good, but sometimes can affect the way a player plays. What is the chatter around him going into this third season?
Yeah, they've had a number of guys put on really positive weight, drop their body fat and put on muscle weight. Avery gained speed from it, as it did a couple of guys. But you're right, you worry about throwing motion and those things, but all accounts are he's progressing like a young quarterback will, still makes mistakes. And Chris Kleiman said it's actually we're trying to get him more in the mode of moving on instead of reflecting on it a little bit too much, which we saw last year. And that's a big mental step for Avery. Physically, though, I think they feel like he's in a really good spot. It's kind of remarkable how his body's changed in his time at Kansas State and how much bigger he is, and maybe more able to withstand some of the hits he's going to take at quarterback.
Obviously, when you look at the running back room, Fitz, we've talked about Dylan Edwards at length and his next step in his career at Kansas State. But there's also another guy behind him in Joe Jackson that also more than likely will take another step forward. What are you seeing from him, and what do you think his role will be offensively?
I think we're going to see 2-3 running backs going through, because all the running backs have the ability to flex out. And DJ Giddens could do that, but he was less of a threat than some of these, smaller guys like a Dylan Edwards that can really cause you trouble on the edge. So I think we're going to see an interesting running back rotation. Last year we had, Giddens, and he was a workhorse. Well, none of these guys are probably at that level of production or physicality as of now. So we'll see guys rotating in and out. I'm going to be really interested to watch how they use running backs and tight ends and receivers all together to maybe shift personnel on a defense, show one thing, and then end up with maybe 5 wide. That's a wrinkle I think was missing last year. I expected to see it, and we didn't. But when you got flexibility of your pieces, your talent around your quarterback, you got to stress the defense with that.
Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. Fitz, what do you guys have for us on the site?
Podcast dropping a little bit. Did a breakdown of the schedule, the games I think are most important, 1 through 12, and just grinding away through, fall camp like everyone else. And fellas, we're a little more than 2 weeks away from us heading to Dublin, so it's crazy how fast this is coming up.
All right, Fitz, be good, stay good, enjoy the heat. Actually, enjoy the cool off for the next couple of days, and we'll be playing football here before we know it.
Thank you, boys.
There goes Tim Fitzgerald. Tommy, we've got breaking news. Major League Baseball. Shane Bieber is headed to the Blue Jays. He's just about ready from his injury return. I think he's had some rehab, looks good. That is a potentially significant move. If Shane Bieber is Shane Bieber, he's the best pitcher that will be moved. I did not see that coming. I didn't even realize he was available and out there.
Well, yeah, he's not on, top lists of insiders as far as the, most likely candidates to be traded by the trade deadline. There are quite a few other top tier pitchers that are on that list, guys like Merrill Kelly and Dylan Cease and others. I didn't see the Shane Bieber move coming. That's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't either. Sandy Alcantara, still a big name that could be moved. He's sort of rounding into form. I think I told you he feels like one of the more overrated players to me. Just he's so inconsistent. But when he has been right, he has been really good. But another headliney type guy moving around. But, as we watch the Blue Jays, as we watch the Mariners make moves, most of the moves have come in the National League. And now we see some American League movement a little bit, which, of course, affects the Royals more as they do still have to chase these teams down. I think it's interesting that Toronto makes that move. I actually I feel like the Yankees are the team, one of the wild card teams the Royals could chase after. We'll see what Aaron Judge is. If Aaron Judge is fully healthy, that changes a little bit. But, man, if he's not, they could really struggle.
I'm surprised the Yankees have been this quiet leading up to the deadline.
They've made a bunch of little moves.
Little moves. They got Ryan McMahon, and they've didn't they get Ahmad Rosario? I think they traded for him from the Nationals to provide some depth in their lineup. But yeah, there hasn't been blockbuster moves from Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone and the Yankees up to this point.
I don't know. I mean, I know it's the Yankees, so you have to take that to the side. If it was anybody else, though, boy, if they lose Aaron Judge, how good are they this year? I mean, I know they're a good team.
They're a good team. They're probably not a great team at that point. They're still a playoff team, I would imagine.
And Garrett Cole will come back at some point. I just am not sure if I were them, if I would go all in. And I know the fan base isn't going to like that. And I know it's the Yankees and they probably will. But I think maybe for them, it'd be a better ride it out situation. Kind of like the Royals, right? Kind of like, we know next year also looks bright for us. Let's continue to make the minor tweaks and see where the chips fall. I wouldn't have said that before Judge got hurt, and maybe he's fine. But if he's not, I don't know that I think they're a great team.
I think they're still a playoff team, but I'm not sure you put them in your favorites as contenders without him in that lineup.
Right. They can absolutely they've got a better chance at this point than the Royals even, but as far as like a headlining move, we'll keep our eye on it. We'll have the deadline to react to tomorrow in full. It will be behind us and should be a lot of fun. Don't go away. We got more Sports Daily coming your way.